father would get up and say, "You got a 45 minutes rest stop, and you niggas can go in the back and buy a sandwich." I guess the most memorable situation I got into, experience, there was a white woman whose name was Nell Lucas, and then the husband, the late Lawrence Lucas Sr. He's dead now too. But Lawrence Jr. and I became playmates by this white woman's selection. I guess, I know Daddy had already passed, so I had to be 8, 9 years old. This woman said she wanted me to be a playmate for her son. Unusual. Lambeau Street still is, south of Broad Street, and it runs perpendicular to Meeting Street. But the most significant thing that came out of that experience, one day this Nell Lucas, and praise be to her wherever she is, she came home for lunch and she said to the black cook, "Edna?" "Yes, ma'am." "Fix a plate for Freddie at the table with Lawrence." So Edna was really perplexed and vexed. She didn't understand. Because I was receptive to it, And she said, "I already got one fixed at the kitchen table for him." So Nell Lucas said, "I said, fix one for him at the dining room table with Lawrence." And she stood in the doorway, just as, like I said, vexed and perplexed. She looked. Now, I guess I was too young to fully appreciate any fails from a situation like that. Oh, the lady wants me to get down to her son, so, hey, good. So Edna was puzzled, and so she continued to just stare virtually into space. She was flabbergasted. I don't criticize her. I would later understand why she acted the way she acted. So she said, "Edna, don't you understand me?" "Yes, ma'am." "Then do it." So that was one of the most profound and memorable of my early experience as a child. Then this blue-eyed, blonde lady, I guess she had to be in her, I would suspect in her 30s, and she came to the dining room table, and she put her arms around my shoulder, little boy, and she said, "Freddie, if you're good enough to play with them, you're good enough to eat them. And she said, there's nobody in this world, and doggone, I believed it. She says, who is any better than you are? You must always remember. I remember. That was sort of mind preparation for what would come in later years. As a child, 5 years old, my brother was immediately ahead of me in age, a couple of years older. He's still living. We sat under the milk tree. I don't know if it's called a milk tree. If you took something and punched it, white fluid came out. So we called it milk tree. Sitting under the milk tree, and Mom had gone to the city of Charleston, because we lived on Honey Hill in James Island, which now is part of the city of Charleston. Sat on a crepe basket. So a collector from the L.B. Price Mercantile Company, in those days, people, especially people lived in the country, merchandising was a door-to-door thing. They came in a vehicle, they had bedspreads, sheets, all sorts of condiments, like with black pepper, red pepper, this, that, and the other. Things like alcohol salsa, or Raleigh salsa, we would call it. We call it. So the collector from L.B. Price Mercantile came to the house. My daddy was sitting on one of the crates too. So the man spoke to him, John, Rosa home? So he said, no, Rosa gone to town. So he said, Rosa left any money for me. So I don't know to this day why Daddy got angry. Daddy got angry at that point, because you sensed anger in his voice. He said, I tell you, Rosa gone to town, huh? So he said, well, I'm going to take all the damn things at the house. So he said, you take them. So he continued to diligently roll his cigarette, because, that was common in those days, people rolling their cigarette. It was cheap if you bought the back and, the paper and whatever have you. So he was rolling his Ripple. And then I looked, the man, he went to the house, look under the house. His mom sold vegetables on the street, so we had a bunch of crepe baskets. So he's pulling a crepe basket from under the house. I just thought that was kind of strange. So he put it near the window. He was going to climb up on the crepe basket, lift the sash, and go in the house. Good goodness. Ripples ran through my mind. I looked at Wesley, and I said, I wonder if Daddy gonna let that white man go into our house. And when I said that, he threw the cigarette away. And he got up, he jerked him out of the window. And then he, walked him a couple of times or so. And he took him by the seat of his pants and scourged him. He fast ran into that T-Model Ford he was driving with all those products in it. And Daddy opened the door and stuffed him under the steering wheel. Closed the door. He said, now you see that road? Get! So man drove off. And I thought that was, hey, Daddy was my hero. But I had a feeling or sense of what the segregation was in those days. So when Mom came home,